So, I'm actually back at the Academy for an earlier save file because someone in the comments pointed out something to me that I actually didn't know about this game. Also, lol 2D, French horn there. But anyway. So, the Ruin Economics books. Turns out, you can actually read them. Now, someone was saying whether that affects achievements. It actually doesn't. In this game, the only books that give you achievements are Liberal News and Carnelia. You don't need to read anything else, and that becomes particularly significant in the next chapter, because that one has a lot of extra books you can read besides those two, but none of them relate to achievements, so don't worry. Anyway, I may as well read Ruin Economics. Don't worry, they're actually not very long. Ruin Economic History Volume 1. 1. Ruin economics prior to the Orbital Revolution. Urban transfiguration due to developments in nautical technology. Developments in industry and the rise of the working class. Abolishment of the aristocracy in regional economics. Collapse of the I think that comes from oligarchy and politics? Yeah, system. Introduction. Economic history is a field of scholarship which looks back historically on economic activity, one of a number of actions carried out by people, and weighs its evolution in relation to the future. In fact, it would hardly be an overstatement to say that the state of the world following the Orbital Revolution was led by a series of economic dynamics. Dramatic progress in transit technology and improved productivity gave rise to a continental-scale flow of goods and people, which in turn resulted in a more explicit structure of interests making an appearance within governments among neighbouring nations. This book aims to trace history sequentially from prior to the Orbital Revolution, and while setting Ruin apart from the rest of Liberal Kingdom, proceed to analyse the developments of regional economics. Ruin Economic History Volume 2. Preface: The World After the Orbital Revolution. 3. Ruin and the Orbital Revolution. Advent of the airship and the maritime industry. The 100 Days War and the Empire. The state of commodity distribution before and after the war. Disparity and the shifting empire. Introduction. The benefits in connection with the Orbital Revolution wrought mighty change in both production and transportation, the foundational elements of economic activity. The introduction of orbital technology to the manual industry increased production without leading to a consolidation of the workforce, and allowed outdated worker unions to commercialize and thereby erect a framework which supplied the market with a stable flow of diverse goods. On the downside, the progress of transit technology, beginning with the emergence of airships, internationalized economic competition in one fell swoop and created a situation which prompted a fierce utilitarian rivalry among nations. Economic rivalries such as these can be found skulking in the milo of nearly all erupting strife in the present age, regardless of boundaries. Ruin Economic History Volume 3. Preface: The 100 Days War and Ruin. Ruin economics after the war. The appearance of new entrepreneurs. Contrasting tourism resource development policy. Challenges for the new generation. Internationalization of airship routes and ruin. Introduction. Though being in the midst of great advances with regards to transit technology following the Orbital Revolution, Ruin's economic epicenter remained as before, centered on the import and export of goods through its seaports, with the Erebonian Empire occupying a significant portion as a strategic partner in trade. Consequently, at the conclusion of the 100 Days War, cooling relations with the Empire meant serious repercussions for this seaport city. This situation forced merchants to tread new ground, and as a result, pioneered enterprise which created domestic demand and developed tourism resources. At present, though these measures and policies have finally begun to bear fruit, there still remain a number of issues which have yet to be resolved. So you're basically just getting the Cliff Notes versions of all these, thankfully, but yeah, the world building in this series is ridiculous. It even extends to economics of just one particular town. Something else that I should just mention while I'm here is that while you can see the Ruin Economics books where in their locations before you accept the quest, you can't actually pick them up until after you've accepted it. So I was half right before about them not being able to be collected until you talk to Logic. But anyway, on with the main show. Shining Palms, now is not the time. Though I guess I could mention, now is one of your last opportunities to fight a Shining Palm for this chapter, so if you haven't beaten one yet, you might want to try now. But anyway, here we are back at Minoria Village. Let's find the matron and see what the heck happened. No, we very much intend to. Oh, they're not even there, wow. A lot of awful things have happened here. So, we know it really was a mugging. The money really was the target. Remember what Joshua said to you before. Leave catching the criminals to us. Of course, but it looks like we're dealing with much stronger forces than we anticipated. And why would they be involved with this whole orphanage incident? Why did I get the feeling that it'd be you? Definitely. So yes, the Wharf effect definitely at play here. Maybe they are involved with this all along. But you said before they had an alibi for the arson. And they don't seem to be skilled enough to knock out a professional bracer like Kana. Yep, just as Josh was saying right now. So... they are involved with whoever's doing this, though. And even they might not even know what they're getting into. And so, it's already nighttime. Well, hopefully this kind of bird has good night vision. See, Agate, we actually can help. Even though Chloe's a civilian, she's probably going to be the most helpful of us here. Again, another helpful point about having a bird companion. Sieg is clearly the MVP of this entire party, considering how good Comfort is. Well, Sieg's worked for us in the past. And yeah, looks like we're actually way ahead of Agate now in terms of, yeah, in terms of information and usefulness, so yeah, screw seniority. It's really funny how the shoe's on the other foot now. But follow that bird. This is north of Minoria Village, so what's around here? And yep, he's the one tagging along with us rather than the other way around. Again, the shoe is on the other foot. Because our interests are definitely aligned at this point. And yes, with that, Agate has joined our party. Yeah, Scum is definitely right. One thing I didn't get to mention last time is, it really goes to show just how attached this game makes you get to the story and characters, because when I got to this moment when I first played, I was so angry at what had just happened. The school had raised all that money for the orphanage, and immediately after she gets the envelope, she gets mugged and all the money is stolen. There just are not any words to describe how angry that makes me. It just really makes you want to get back at whoever did this, so that's what we'll be doing this time. So, Sieg is heading towards the Lighthouse, but I guess quickly before we do that, I can go over the elephant in the room here. Or rather, the blonde-haired cloud in the room, because Agate has finally joined the party for real, and as a senior bracer, he has a pretty considerable level lead over the rest of us. So, as you can probably tell by his strength stats, and if you look at his ornament setup, yep. He has 3 separate lines. Agate is definitely not a magic user. He is a pure physical attacker. Specifically, pure physical offense. He's not that good on the defense department, although his HP is pretty solid. It actually really says something about this game that it's only now that we're getting a pure physical attacker. But, yeah, Agate is one of them, and because of that, I might actually swap Attack 2 over to him. Of course, you can't have both Attack 1 and Attack 2 on the same ornament, so I have to go for the highest one, Attack 1. I've got a few spare HP 2s, might as well put one of those on. And I could also put, oh, that's interesting. Defense doesn't lower your attack in this game. I think it does in the second game, but not in this one. I could also use Strike, which will, give Agate a chance to crit with all of his basic attacks, and I might as well do that. Deathblow 2 does help in some of the upcoming fights. I could use Blind, I guess, and that does give him access to clock up, but I've got choices here. I think I might actually just go with Strike for now. And with the remaining slot, I suppose Joshua could take Defense 1. And I'm just going to go ahead and heal Agate there. Okay, I have Aerostorm. Now that we have a physical attacker, let's change our positioning around a bit. Agate will take the lead. Chloe will be in the rear. I think I'll actually put both of them in the back, just because I want Estelle to be casting Aerostorm in a lot of these fights. And character position, I want Joshua in the second spot, just so that my S-Break shortcuts are on the right thing, so I don't mess that up again, and accidentally use Lichtkreis when I don't want to. As for S-Breaks, Agate's only S-Break right now is Beatdown, which is just a single targeting, very powerful attack. Let's go. I think we're all... Actually, no, we're not all set, because I haven't equipped accessories on Agate. Actually... I'm going to equip the Skull Pendant on Chloe. We are going to be fighting enemies that are going to be using instant death, and I want Chloe to be immune to that because she can revive everyone else, so yeah, it makes sense for her to be the one protected from that. Preventing Confuse. I think Seal's actually good to prevent, because I think some of these enemies can inflict Seal, so preventing that's good. Preventing Blind might not be a bad idea either. Oh yeah, by the way, that's what the work helmet that we got from the Lighthouse Keeper does. It's just a slight buff to defense. Honestly, I don't really consider it all that worth it. Might as well put the Lily Necklace on you. I think that's the setup that I'll go with for now. So, let's head to the Lighthouse. And already the dungeon music is kicking in, so you know that we're in for something big. Yeah, we've helped him a few times already. Why would they do that, though? True, like I said, the shoe's on the other foot. We have the definite advantage over him in terms of information now. We know full well that she can handle herself in a fight, too. Yeah, we have to not let our guard down, as he says. Granted, Kana was an NPC, so... It usually follows that whenever someone is not under player control, they're either drastically more competent or drastically less competent than they are in gameplay. This was a case of the less competent variety. So, once we head in, we'll have fights on our hands pretty much immediately. Yep, something weird is definitely going on here. They don't seem to be helping these guys of their own free will. So, once again, it's fight time. And they can still do this. They do still get their original quotes, which honestly feels a bit weird to me. I kind of wish they still just said ... because that would have preserved the tension of this moment a lot better. But anyway, I should mention, you don't want to go too crazy with your EP at this point. Just saying, there are several fights in here, and the last one is a lot stronger than these chumps. Anyway, as for Agate, I suppose I can show what Wild Rage does. Agate would like to rage! It does give him a lot of CP, but you probably want to keep him healed if you are doing that. But also notice their stats are a bit higher than they were originally, especially the gang leaders. They've got quite a bit more HP than they used to, from what I can tell. They still fight the same way, though. I think I'm actually going to go ahead and heal Agate just in case, because his defense, like, don't actually overestimate Agate's tanking ability. His HP may be high, but his defense is not. Especially against these buff strength stats. Okay, the leader's gonna go again after this. I suppose I can try out Aerostorm, even though it's a little bit overkill. Actually... I don't think Agate will go down to 1 hit at this point. Still spamming that, I guess. No Fate, though. At least one of them is nearly down. Having 4 party members for this segment definitely helps. I could use Flame Smash on them, and I think that'll actually take out that guy, but Estelle's going with Aerostorm soon, so... I might just straight up heal Agate again. Actually, why not use Rainbow Jelly Beans? Right, I forgot we didn't have the recipe for that earlier. Also, that sounds pretty satisfying if you're, holding down the turbo button. Alright, now, I think he can still revive, so I want to take him down quickly. This should probably be enough. Yep, definitely enough. And that's Dean down. And good, I told you Joshua would catch up soon. Well, that's incredibly disturbing. I get the feeling we've actually seen this kind of thing before. I'm sure all of you watching might have figured that out. Agate might know who's responsible, as Chloe's saying. He is a senior bracer. He's dealt with a lot of shady groups in the past, I'm assuming. So these guys are just puppets, really. The real perpetrators are above. Okay, after healing up Agate a bit, every time you go to a new floor, you'll have another fight. So, Raven's gang member number 2. I guess while I'm doing this, I could mention that, they look kind of pointy on their sprites, and they do make dagger sounds whenever they're, the Ravens pull them out. But those things, according to official art, actually are, like, blunt, sort of bludgeoning stun batons. Which I suppose makes sense. And that's kind of how I always saw them personally, but I think, you know, it wouldn't be that hard to mistake them for daggers, especially with, like I said, the sounds they make. Anyway, yeah, I was actually planning on showing Agate some S-Craft here, but I guess I'll do that in the next fight, because I can always just spam Rainbow Jelly Beans to get his CP back up, and also probably Wild Rage. But depending on how things go, I could probably just go for the 10% strength turn with Agate. Please don't revive. Yep, he revived. Okay. Agate's not actually at full CP, though. You definitely want to go for Blue Impact wherever possible, because that is, I know I keep saying this, but yes, it is actually the most cost-efficient in terms of cost per EP single targeting spell in the game. Okay, you're blinded, so I'm not actually as worried, although I should probably still take you down quickly, because otherwise you might end up reviving, and I don't want that. I think Agate should be able to finish you just with this. Yes, just barely. So without the leader around, this should end pretty quickly. Let's show off Agate's S-Craft. Yep, nice damage there, Agate.
Here for a rematch.
So yeah, again, that is Bryce Papenbrook as Agate, which is... It is kind of a bit of playing against type for him. Not quite to the extent of... I always call him Carl. I know a lot of people say Karel, but I personally always called him Carl from FE7. Now, I might buff my CP a little more later, but for now we have to fight Rocco, who I think is kind of the de facto leader of the Ravens. They're certainly not going to hold back, so no reason for us to. Let's go. So yeah, all these fights are pretty similar. Should I? No, I'll just go for Flame Smash. The thing about Agate is that pure physical offense is less useful the higher up on the difficulties that you go. I think it's a combination of arts having, of arts damage being based on having like a fixed modifier to their damage that doesn't really care about how high the enemy's arts defense is. Also, just in general, the arts defense of enemies being lower overall than physical defense, and also just the fact that arts have a lot of really good AoE attacks. But yeah, you've probably seen me spam a lot of arts. Yes, magic is definitely far better than physical attacks in this game, which is kind of unfortunate. It isn't really until Trails in the Sky the Third they really balance physical attacks to be more on par with magic. So I'm kind of looking forward to showing that game off, also because that game is one of my favorites in the series. Please don't revive. Okay, good. We haven't actually seen them use their kind of ultimate attack yet. Also, double flicker is kind of nice. And if I don't get to see it here, which I probably won't, I will definitely... Also, Chloe's going super fast with her casting, which is probably the power of the cast quartz. I'll probably... Yeah, I'm definitely not going to see it here, so I can just mention it. So, whenever the Ravens go for this attack, they'll charge up for it, and there'll be very clear warning they're about to do it, and you'll see the circle targeting, like the normal arts and crafts targeting circle, targeting whichever character is about to get hit. You can cancel it with cancel attacks, but if the attack hits, it has a fairly high chance of instant death. I believe the attack is called No Mercy, so you want to try and cancel that attack if possible. Like I said in the first fight with the Ravens, it's very clearly telegraphed. Also, you can use Rainbow Jelly Beans even if you're at full HP, so that's good to know. Let's see, Joshua just barely doesn't have an S-Craft ready. But yeah, you do want to be on your guard for that. I think I have enough EP going forward. Something that I should also mention before going into this fight is that Estelle's going to point out that there is a commotion upstairs. Something that I should also mention before going into this fight, well, barring the obvious reveal here, but yes, Deathblow 2. Deathblow 2 can definitely help here. And this is one fight in this chapter that may be worth saving Deathblow 2 for. So, as always, the villain obviously incriminates himself, not realizing we're within earshot. There was always something a bit shifty about this guy, and he was the first to blame the Ravens. That's unfortunately the convenient thing about having rampant crime in your town. You've got an easy scapegoat. And so, the villain, again, not nowhere in earshot, is gonna say, "I'm glad that you said that, let me explain my entire evil plan." So admittedly, after all that build-up, I do kind of find the villains of this chapter kind of bland in terms of their overall motivations. It's part of the reasons why I don't know, Chapter 2 has some great character moments, but in terms of its overall plot, it's probably my least favorite chapter in the game. Yeah, she's definitely very attached to it. There was only one way she was moving away, and that was if she had no other option. So, they made sure she had no other option. But then the school gave them an option, and they had to remove it. Oh boy, saying that within earshot of Agate, Stella, and Joshua was one thing, but saying it within earshot of Chloe, yeah, you are going down. They're taking a long nap right now, and Estelle says what I'm thinking again. Yeah, you guys were at the lake. You were involved with the Sky Bandits, too. And that was that other case Agate was pursuing before. It also seems like these guys are related to that Doberman incident back at the gate. Well, we kinda knew that was coming. And, finally, we have a new boss theme. So these Black-Clad soldiers are nothing like the Ravens we fought before. They're actually pretty dangerous, so I'm going to delay one of them right now. They hit incredibly hard, and not only that, they can inflict a wide variety of status ailments on you too. They're also very, very fast. I know that I say this a lot, but I'll say it again, especially on Nightmare. On Nightmare, you do not want to take this fight lightly, and in fact, it's a very good time to use Deathblow 2. That will eliminate one of the Black-Clad soldiers immediately. Oh, that's bad. I think I'm actually going to S-break with Joshua just in case he goes down here. So that attack, Shadow Weaving, can inflict delay on you. I'm not sure why it didn't there, but yes, that's a delay attack. Sorry, I'm just caught up in the music here. Oh, they're both gonna go. Should I? I may have to revive Joshua here. Yep, there's the delay. This fight can very easily spiral out of control if you let it, so you've got to be really, really careful here. I think I might actually S-break with Chloe after this. Oh, just barely. And yeah, she says Radiant Flash there instead of Lichtreis. That's because a lot of Chloe's arts had different names in the original PSP localization. Lichtreis was actually called Radiant Plash, and the description kind of jokes about that in this version. And Camphor was Impose, I believe. But the German names are actually their Japanese names. I should also mention that these guys can inflict instant death as well, so that's why I equipped the skull pendant.
Here for a rematch.
I actually got really lucky with them not delaying me that often, because I actually wasn't even sure the delay could even fail. That's how common the delay effect is on shadow weaving. Huh, you guys have a lieutenant, huh? Yep, we were spying on you back then. So, yeah, even though this game doesn't really show a lot of particularly violent things, some of the dialogue does get pretty brutal. It's definitely a lot darker than you'd probably think considering the art style, especially in the second game, but, yeah. This is about the point where the plot does start to get a lot darker. Yep, technicalities. These guys are clearly the real ones in charge here. Gilbert only thinks he is. Yep, okay, they're not bluffing. Normally, running away upstairs is a really bad idea, but they had an escape route planned in advance. Once again, though, Agate's presence in our party was only very temporary. He's actually leaving us already. Thankfully, we already have his weapon in our weapon log, and there are no other weapons for Agate in this chapter. We're back down to 3. Very true. We got back the stolen money, but we still haven't quite gotten to the bottom of this whole incident. Well, I think we already clearly saw the attackers now. They wear helmets with face masks, though, so we still don't really know who they are exactly. All we know is they're very dangerous, and they seem to have had a hand in both the Sky Bandit incident and this. Honestly, I'm kind of worried too. But we have other things to take care of. Bigger things. And at least he knows to avoid their sleeping powder. And what we can do is take that mare down. Are we sure we can really trust you? I mean, you failed at protecting that money last time. Well, let's hope they don't try anything too crazy. Gilbert's been shot in the foot, so I doubt he's really doing much anytime soon. And now, our next destination is to head back to Ruin and finally wrap up this incident and reveal the true culprit behind the orphanage arson and the matron's mugging. Next time, we end the chapter, and I will see you then.